Hey, what's going on, y'all? We back with another one today. You know what it is, Just Bowl TV. I'm Haywood. We're gonna go ahead and just get into the segment. So today, I just want to keep it simple and just kind of give everybody basic general knowledge on exactly where we're at, buying bowling balls and how to add to their arsenal. And kind of how to choose what ball is best for them, what to fill their arsenal, how to know what is missing, this, that, and the third. Now, disclaimer, bowling and how to go about bowling is all based on perception. What works for me may not work for you, and what works for me may work for you, and vice versa. So this is just my opinion, my ideas, and what works for me and what hasn't worked for me, especially knowing that I only bowl with 2 fingers and no thumb, because you know, home of the no thumb bowlers. So just to get started, we're here at Strike 10 Pro Shop. As you can see, we have our walls kind of separated by brand. We have Motive behind me, Brands of Brunswick behind this back area, and then from here on this SPI, and we have Hammer over here on a separate wall. Without having to go into specific detail with every single ball on the wall, I'm gonna just kind of break it down into 5 different categories. 5 being covers, which is solid, hybrid, pearl, and then the extra 2, symmetric and asymmetric. I think it's very important as bowlers, whether you're beginning, been bowling for a little while, or you're really in tune with your game, to understand your equipment, because if you don't understand your equipment, you won't know what to go to when you're in trouble or when you need to. So just go ahead and get into it, all right? So solid bowling balls. First started off, I used to think that solid bowling balls were the biggest thing on the market. If I wanted something super strong, that was the only ball that would give it to me. Yes and no, right? It just depends. For me personally, yes, I am a solid type of guy. I throw the ball pretty fast, around like 16. Sometimes I'm creeping up on 17. But also I have a lot of hand. So I like the solid balls because they're known to give you traction, be a little earlier. Now for people that don't understand the phrase of earlier, that just means it wants to hook or curve as soon as you put it down. That's what some and most solid balls are, especially solid asymmetrical. Asymmetrical bowling balls are bowling balls that if you were to cut it in half, it won't look the same on each side. Symmetrical, if you cut it in half, it'll look identical. Same situation. Essentially, your hand is asymmetrical. If you cut it in half, it doesn't look the same on each side. That's how you put it. Take my hat, you cut it in half, it's gonna look the exact same on both sides. There you go. If that didn't make sense, I don't know what to take. So this right here, this is gonna be one of Storm's new bowling balls, the DNA. This is prime example of a strong, early, solid, asymmetrical bowling ball. What that means, if you were putting together a 6-ball arsenal, right, this would be a potential of your top dog. I like to build my bowling ball arsenals for like a tournament, strongest to weakest, right? So this would be a possible top ball. When the lanes are really oily, this would be a ball that you would go to. It would just help be really early, which I said is as soon as you put it down, it's gonna wanna hook. And it'll be really controllable, and it'll just pretty much stay direct for you the whole time. But it is strong. So if it's anything without a lot of oil, it's gonna really be a lot, and it'll probably go Brooklyn or just not hit the pocket. Now, a step down from this, if we were to stay in the solid range, so going from an ASIM to a SIM, a good way to put it would be this TNT right here, right? Brand new ball, came out from Roto Grip. Same family as the SPI, but the only difference is symmetrical, which is if we cut it in half, it'll look the same. And this one right here, asymmetrical, right? So a good step down, if I was to build a 6-ball arsenal, once again, like I said, this could be probably not number 2, but we'll say maybe like number 4, right? This is the little brother, big brother. The reason I would step down is still a strong bowling ball, but without that extra side on the core, which makes it ASIM, without that, the ball is more predictable. You don't have to worry about it being jerky or doing anything outside of what you threw it to do. So that'll be that's how you do like a 1-2 punch. Some people do their 1-2 punches, ASIM and SIM, and then some people do it solid and pearl, solid and hybrid, but we'll get into all of that, right? So if I was to make a number 2 ball in my arsenal, say the DNA is getting a little too jerky, it's kind of getting unpredictable. I throw it, it gets down there, and I don't know if it's gonna hook or not hook, right? but it's still a lot of oil, and this right here isn't going to make the corner. I would say possibly either a pearl or a hybrid, but not just any type of pearl or hybrid, more on a higher scale pearl or hybrid. So with that being said, we could go to infinite physics, right? Same bowling ball, essentially. They're both ASIM, so they have that extra piece on the core. The only difference is this cover, which you actually see the red, black, and blue, not the colors, but the actual material of the core are different. This is a solid, this is a pearl. Pearls are mostly, or as far as I'm concerned, it's just my opinion, are more so known to give you more length and a bigger back end. Back end just meaning when it gets to the end of the pattern, how it reacts. So when you see some things look really smooth and archy, which I just call a banana, a strong banana, or you see bowling balls hit the end of the pattern, they just kind of turn really quickly, a hockey stick. This ball is kind of more, not so much just super smooth, but it's kind of in between. It is quick, but it's not jerky. This is something that you can go to. Most of the time, you want to put your bag together, whereas when your number one stops being number one, it has something that you can go to, that you could do the same exact thing, but fit the conditions better. So like I said, if this goes down the lane and it's just a little too uncontrollable, you can jump down to an infinite physics or any other ball brand that has a nice, good, controllable pearl piece, and it'll give you extra length and still give you that back end that you need. Now, you say, okay, Haywood, I have an infinite physics. I use it all the time, or I have a big pearl ball I use all the time, but I don't know what to do when that ball starts getting unpredictable. I got you, my boy. So look, best thing you do, like I said, ASIM, SIM. That's how I like to base my my bowling balls and bowling bags out, because that's the perfect 1-2 punch sometimes. If I was to go to a SIM, so a symmetrical pearl, you can go to something like the Phase 5, or you can do a Revenant, or you can do a Fate. And the only reason I'm using SBI is just because I'm on this side of the wall, and if I was to walk all the way around, it'd just be too much, right? But anyway, so this gets too much, and let's say the lane's getting a little dry, and you need something to kind of drop down to, and you're using a pearl, and you want to stay in a pearl cover. These are all three really good pearl options. All these bowling balls are kind of designed to give you length, so you don't have to worry about it hooking super early, but they all recover really well on the back end. Most of the time, they're going to be the same look over and over and over again because they're SIM, and most SIM bowling balls are really controllable and very predictable. Now, bowling in general is all about being able to do the same thing over and over and over again. It's hard to do that if you don't know what your equipment's going to do. Short and simple. That's the best way I could put it. Buy equipment that you know is going to do the same thing over and over again, and you can control it and predict it. I can't put it any other way. Now you say, Haywood, you said there's 3 different types of bowling balls though. Solid, pearl, and you said hybrid, but you haven't mentioned the hybrid yet. I got you, my boy, just relax. So look, so hybrids in my idea are bowling balls that you use when solids are too much, but maybe a pearl is not ready for a pearl yet. This isn't making the corner. Hybrids to me, and this is just me, are used and are best to blend the lane off. So most people that bowl, you know, you're bowling, everything's good, then it starts to get a little dry, but then all of a sudden it's like your ball is like skidding one time and hooking the next. We call that over under or carry down, when the oil has begun to transfer further down the lane and your break point, which is where the ball was essentially hooking, is now it's not hooking as much. That's what we call carry down, or transition has happened, vice versa, right? Hybrids, like this ball right here, the Absolute, which is one of Storm's newest hybrid bowling balls, are good for making that part of the transition or that part of the lane a little easier to control. They get there, and because of just the chemicals and how they put it together, I don't know, I'm not a big science guy, they just work best in those type of conditions. Now, just letting you know, you can use this ball, this ball, this ball, this ball, any ball on the wall for a number one. Just depends on how you play and what works best for you. But just based off of bowling ball strengths and the covers and what they were designed to do, that's kind of how I would put everything together. So as if I just keep going in the order, this would be my number 1, this would be my number 2, this would be my number 3. All 3 of these are ASIM. So like I said, they're going to have the big core on the middle, but it's going to have like an extra piece, and it's not the same. So that'll be my first ball bag, 3 ASIMs. Now remember I said this is my number 4. So this is also a solid, but it's it's symmetrical. So now I need to find a symmetrical pearl. So I could choose any one of these three. They're all the same. Of course, they do a little bit of difference here and there, but the part of the bag and their purpose kind of all fit the same category. So now I need a hybrid. This is the hybrid. So they come in a nice, and this is by Roto Grip as well. Shout out to SBI. These bowling balls are best for lower end performance, meaning that they're not supposed to hook a lot. Don't always believe that. There's a lot of balls in the bowling industry amongst the different brands that are more bang for their buck. So don't always believe just because something's not as expensive, it's not as good. That's not true. The Hype series, they do come in pearl, hybrid, and solid, but the Hypes are really good bowling balls. I mean, I don't know anybody that's bought one and didn't like it. So this would be like a number 5 for me. Say I can't use the first 3 and, you know, this is still a little bit too much. I can go down to this right here. Same type of strength, but they just work in different areas. This may pick up earlier, so it may not be as soon as my feet, but it may be like at the arrows or in the middle. Whereas this ball is gonna give me more length, and it'll just be more of a hockey stick type of look, or just a quicker look further down close to the pins. Every bowling ball in your bag should fit a section of the lane. In that, every bowling ball should have a designated job. You can't make this ball do what this ball does, and vice versa. Let every ball have a specific job, because not all bowling balls are as versatile as the other. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now we're just looking for the final ball. Our low piece for when things get really dry. It seems like if you're a righty, you're super far left, standing in the gutter. Lefty, you're in super far right, standing in the gutter. You need a bowling ball that's gonna give you maximum length and not overhook on you or anything of that nature. Every bowling company has their own variation of what that is. Some people, it may be the Hyped. It may be the Hustle USA. For Motive, if you're a Motive person, we don't have it in the shop because we just sold it, but it'll be like a Motive Thrill. Or if you're a Hammer, it'll be like a Hammer Raw or a Rhino, something like that. Everybody needs a bottom of the bag ball, so that way if the conditions just get really bad, you can count on it and not to hook. And if it does hook, barely at all. At the end of the day, when you're putting together your bowling ball bag, whether it's 6 balls, 4 balls, 5 bowling balls, even if it's just 3, try to get bowling balls that can take care of that range the best of their ability. You want is to have a bag full of bowling balls and they all do the exact same job. You'll just be wasting money and not getting the best out of your equipment. Now with all of this is all contingent on the layouts. We'll get into layouts another time. If that's something y'all want to see, just comment down below. You know what I mean? We can break down into layouts and how to go about layouts and how to understand your layouts a little bit better. Especially for people with no thumbs, layouts are very important for us because it dictates essentially what our ball really is going to do. Those that may be watching that have a thumb or are two-handed, people with thumbs, your layouts are just as important, but your layouts and our layouts are a little bit differently. The numbers may look the same, but our reactions are not the same. People with 2 hands, just as important for you as well. Without that thumb, your layouts mean all the difference. Every company has really good equipment. Like I said, this is all the SBI family at the moment that we have. And as we kind of come down here, we have the Brunswick, of course. We have Motive, and they make really good equipment as well. And then all the way on this other wall, we have Hammer over here on this side. Now, I know everybody's thinking, you know, am I going to say something about urethane? I don't really want to, but this is why I say that. Urethane bowling balls are actually really good, right? But they're best when they're used on the shot and in the timing that they need to be used on. Now, I'm one of the type of guys that says urethanes aren't needed on a house shot because essentially they really aren't. I mean, house shots are meant to give you the maximum recovery, maximum help possible for the regular bowler. Now, if you are bowling on sport shots or if you're bowling on challenge patterns where the oil is super heavy and in certain shapes and sizes, stuff like that, then yes, urethanes could be an option. For people that may be shopping for a urethane for whatever reason, and even know why you're looking for one. The Pink Widow urethane, this was released, I believe, like last year ago, and it has the same core in this ball than it does in the regular reactive ball. This is a solid This is the same ball, but it has a urethane cover. Urethane is supposed to take the oil from the front of the lane to the back of the lane. Now, in a regular house shot, the issue where most people have where they say, oh, don't throw urethane is because it's doing more of a disservice than a service to you. This is just my opinion. I feel as if there's a lot of other bowling balls on the market that you could achieve to strike better than this, especially as your first option. I believe urethanes are better for tournament play if you go out to tournaments a lot and you're doing more competitive. If you're doing sport shots, like I said, that's where urethanes best play. But if for some reason you're a urethane type of person and you just want to see, if you want to have a bag full of urethanes, that's up to you. Just speak to your PSO. If you don't know what PSO is, your pro shop operator, and just kind of talk to them and see what bowling ball, as far as urethane wise, would work best for your game. All bowling balls and all layouts and everything that we do in the pro shop is contingent upon how you bowl. Getting your PAP, your span, your finger pitches, all of that is important. So if you're a bowler, you just started or you've been bowling for a long time, if you don't know any of that or haven't got it checked recently, I advise you go and do it. It does make a big difference. If you're a bowler and you're having finger pain or having a lot of blisters or calluses, or if you bowl with your thumb and your hand's hurting a lot and you have hand pain, wrist pain, forearm pain, all of that is tied into your span, your pitches, and the whole nine. So if you're having any type of pain, right, left hand, anything like that, go speak to your PSO operator. They will try to help you get it all figured out. But this is just my little help update on how to pick your bowling balls, kind of how to think about spending money on equipment, because you don't want to waste any money if you don't have to. We'll get into surface prep and finger pitch and understanding all of that a little bit later. If that's something that you want to see on the channel, let me know. Just comment down below. We're done for another video, man. See y'all until next time.